to speak to Caesar!
Shit. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, for those of you that don't know, is the sequel to Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the movie that started the reboot of the classic Planet of the Apes series. That was pretty awesome. And Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, fuck yeah, it's so good. It's awesome. I really had a blast. It really is kind of like a Hollywood summer blockbuster at its finest. It's a little smarter. It's a little cooler. It's a little deeper. While I don't think it's like this tour de force, emotional, compelling thing that a lot of reviewers are making it out to be, I think it's a good, fun time, and there's just so much awesomeness to be had. Now, Rise of the Planet of the Apes was a movie that I didn't really want, and I didn't really have a lot of expectations going into it, and then I was absolutely blown away. So for this one, for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, I had my expectations set really high. They put things in motion, they really like started the ball rolling, and this movie had to continue and really take off with it. And thankfully, it really did. You know, it gives you the whole, a few years after the James Franco disease kills off like a good part of the human race, and there's just pockets of human survivors everywhere. And the apes are just kind of living, after they ran away in San Francisco, they've kind of just been living in the woods, building a community and being really cool, but kind of, you know, minding their own business until they come into contact with humans who they hadn't seen for almost 10 years. And that scene, when a human first encounters an ape for the first time in a really long time, was done incredibly well. It was frightening. I'm actually getting chills right now talking about it. That's just one example. The whole movie sets the tone of just like this like menacing anger, rage of these monkeys, apes, perfectly. And to counteract the awesomeness of the apes with their cool action sequences and their deep, brooding meaning, the quieter scenes with the humans are actually pretty cool too. While I didn't get totally attached to the characters, they were serviceable enough, and the environment that they existed in was really cool. The overgrown city of San Francisco, done perfectly. It reminded me of a screenshot of The Last of Us. It looked absolutely beautiful. And the movie had a lot of stillness to it, a lot of quietness to it, that I really enjoyed. While some of the action scenes did fall into the typical archetype of the summer Hollywood blockbuster, you know, a big thing falling down, a boom, cool scene. There's a lot of slower moments and a lot of well-shot, beautiful-looking moments that I thought were really cool and that made the movie stand out more than just a regular popcorn flick. That being said, I will say it is still just a popcorn flick because the human characters, you don't care about them. The ape stuff just kind of escalates into this giant, so over-the-top climactic thing that was just really ridiculous. Granted, Rise of the Planet of the Apes was ridiculous as well, with monkeys jumping at helicopters. Apes, sorry. This just took it even to a bigger level. It took me out of it a little bit. That being said, The Tale of Caesar is one that is pretty unforgettable. He's an awesome character played by Andy Serkis, and in this one especially, the technology, everything, the way the motion capture actors enunciate with their face and emote, it's just, you can tell exactly what a creature is thinking without it saying anything, and that's really impressive. And thankfully, it wasn't just about Caesar this time. There was a great supporting cast of CGI apes, and I really grew to like a lot of the characters, and they all had their own types of interesting tales. With Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I did not see any of this coming, like this whole establishment of all these cool characters in this like trilogy-type movie. I hope it's a trilogy. With the writing, they definitely copped out with one scene that I thought they were going to take a certain character a certain way, and then they didn't. And then it just kind of fell into like a typical predictable thing. That I was a little disappointed, but everything else about the movie was absolutely great. And the human characters were cool. The main character, the actor, I can't remember his name, he was fine. He didn't really have a lot going on, but he was an enjoyable character on screen. You got where they were going with his character, and what he ultimately taught Caesar was really cool. Just the friendship and companionship, I really enjoyed that. Gary Oldman's character, totally underutilized, not really that useful at all, but there was one scene with him that I really enjoyed. But like I said earlier, this movie is absolutely beautiful. There are some shots in this movie that are just way too artsy for this type of film, but I really enjoyed that. And the set design is absolutely gorgeous, especially the habitat of the apes, which is all real, all made out of wood, and it just looked, I was like, how did people build that? That's crazy. It looked absolutely great, as did the apes. Granted, I'm still, you know, you still watch the movie, and for the most part, you go, okay, those are computer animated monkeys, except for Maurice. Maurice is the most realistic looking ape on a screen, or orangutan technically, I've ever seen. And I'm just growing to totally enjoy and appreciate this reboot of Planet of the Apes more and more, because Dawn really just sold it for me. Oh, and I didn't even get to, they fucking give the apes guns. It was like the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like, it was anything I could have hoped to have seen in a movie. I'm at a loss for words. All-out battles between humans and apes, and dual-wielding machine gun apes, and riding on horses, and tanks, and explosions, and human shooting, and oh my god, it was just great. There were a couple of scenes in this movie where I was just like, oh fuck, out loud in a movie theater. I couldn't even contain it. The movie did that so well. Between the sense of menace, of just the fierceness of the apes, and coupled with the fact of just the insane action and the, oh my god, did that just happen? Did an ape really just do that? That stuff just works so well for these movies, and that's kind of why I go to see them. And Dawn of the Planet of the Apes provided in spades. But guys, I know a lot of you have seen Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, so we gotta talk about it in the comments. I am so excited. I've actually already seen it twice. Did you guys do that? Did any of you like it that much? Let's talk about it in the comments. Let me know what you liked about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and let me know if you didn't like it. I'd really like to hear your criticisms, because I personally didn't think it was the greatest movie in the world. Maybe not the greatest movie of the summer, but up there. But you know, I had some complaints, and I'd like to hear yours as well. And I'd also like to know what was your favorite part of the movie, because there were so many jaw-dropping action awesome moments and so many tense scary moments that I just like to talk about it. So let me know anything you want in the comments. Let's talk about it. And as always, guys, I'm Jake Baldino. You can like me on Facebook, you can yell at me on Twitter, and you can subscribe, because video games. That was supposed to be Caesar. That was really bad.